All right, everyone, we should be live after a momentary glitch there. It took a little bit longer than usual. I see that things are going over on Rumble. That's a good sign. We'll make sure that we're actually live. Just a second. For some reason, StreamYard is having a little bit of a thrombo right now. Just give me a sec. Technical difficulties. Sort of the lifeblood of this channel. Testing. Can you see and hear me? Because I'm getting a little bit of a glitch. Over on Rumble especially, can you see and hear me right now? Because it says live, but shit. Many such cases. And I've got a lot of non-political stuff to talk about today, too. I wanted to do some non-political stuff, actually. Okay, yes, Cam says I am indeed live. Okay, there was a glitch there for a minute. I don't know exactly what happened. Anyways, we've got a lot to talk about today. We will be talking about Biden's complete incoherence with regards to his reaction to the election, which is important because although he's more coherent in the sense of not stumbling over his words, at least at this time, we'll wait a few days. I'm sure that we'll get some more incoherence in the more general sense as well. Calling for unity and all of the other stuff that he was talking about. He's saying, well, we lost this battle, but we just got to stand up. We can't give up. It's just a bunch of malarkey, basically. Federal Military Draft Agency reposts message suggesting U.S. is becoming 1936 Nazi Germany. This was up on X for a couple of hours before it was removed, actually. They're promising to investigate it. Why do I get the feeling that won't happen? Nevada lithium mine will crush rare plant habitat, U.S. said is critical to its survival, lawsuit says. Yes, a species that only exists in one small area and is critically endangered might go extinct, but it has no actual usefulness, and so it's basically a bunch of native groups pandering as usual. I'll be drawing in Vermont, actually, on that particular topic, because they've done the same thing with remains that are presumptively not Native American at all in my own home state, stymieing archaeology, actually. Tunic found in one of the royal tombs in Virginia, I don't know how to pronounce this, identified as Alexander the Great. Yes, we have literally the tunic of Alexander the Great, one of the literally most well-known people in all of world history. And they've determined that it was his. And it was decorated with royal purple. I want them to synthesize exactly what royal purple was, because there's still some confusion over exactly what that means. Apparently, it had a particular smell to it. So we'll talk about the snails that they use to dye these tunics. The power of prions explores misfolded proteins' role in brain diseases. Mad cow. In some cases, dementia, actually, in humans, among other nasty and unfortunate things. We'll be talking about prions. A lot of people don't know anything about them. I studied them when I was, taking biology and stuff. Fascinating subject, actually. And then finally, mysterious 400-year-old vampire woman comes back to life with facial reconstruction. They didn't try to blackwash this individual either. They actually depicted her as Scandinavian because she was Scandinavian. So I congratulate them for that. Some people probably cry racism. How dare you suggest that there weren't black vampires? That'll probably, I wish that I was being hyperbolic when I say that. Cam2425IA, I'd happily host you in 3 years during the 250th fair here in Iowa. I live about 10 minutes from the fairgrounds. Lol. That sounds fucking great. I will make it to the 250th anniversary of the United States in Iowa. I guarantee that I'll do that. Although I don't think it's 3 years. I think it's starting next year, actually. I thought it started in 2025. Let me fact check that. That's not how you spell Iowa. Whoops. Iowa Fair ready to host Trump's. Oh, that's from Governor Kim Reynolds. Iowa Fair ready to host Trump's birthday party for America's 250th. Yeah, baby. 2026. Okay, so 2 years. That's going to be fun. Of course they say the vampire was white. Lol, stupid ass Styx thinks this is a good thing. Well, she was Scandinavian, so, no black Vikings. Vampires are good. I'm going to be talking about the Vermont and New England vampire scare with tuberculosis as well, which happened several hundred years later. Fascinating folklore, actually. Crusader Capitalist, any PACs that you endorse for the 2026 midterms? Nope, I don't support PACs and super PACs. The Dashing Rogue, I sent you a copy of Lauren Chen's Trial Twatter. Now we just need to get Caleb, Redcap Malpin caught, then Spenny and Bannon. Eurasia is still a danger. Avera Gamer, do you have any serious advice for explaining how Trump won't take anyone's rights away? Yeah, because, he had 4 years to do that, and nobody's rights were taken away. And just point that out. Metalhead Madman, what's the latest on the Dems trying to steal House and Senate seats? They've failed. The Senate has gone GOP. The House will go GOP. It's by the margin that I expected. I suspected that the House Republicans might gain a couple of seats. Definitely less than 10 at this point, probably less than 5. They'll grow their majority, but it'll be like a seat or two, something like that. It looks like most of the outstanding seats probably go GOP, but that gives them a very slim margin. Alex Bogey enjoyed some sweet California champagne with all the hospitalized Trump voters who voted absentee yesterday. Had to hide the bottle from the nurses. Oh, my God. Wolf, Morning Sticks. It's been amazing to watch Reddit have a total break with reality in real time. They didn't take the black pill. They're snorting it. I think they're taking it as an anal suppository at this point. That must please them. First, let's get to Joe Biden, though. I want to talk about this first and foremost because the dude's fucking completely insane. After years and years of calling people garbage, saying that people were Nazis and stuff like that, all of a sudden he's calling for unity. And unity tends to be the rallying cry of the people that are dispossessed of power at that particular time. Biden is falling right into that. Nonetheless, I will note, Biden seems awfully undisturbed by the election results. I'm beginning to think that maybe the vague concept of Joe Biden, if not backstabbing Kamala Harris, at least not really pulling weight for her and saying, well, I don't give a fuck. These people are forcing me out and, making me a one-termer. I'm not going to go out of my way to support them. I'm beginning to think that that's actually real. And then he comes out and says, I will quote this. This is from CBS News originally. Here's his quote. A defeat does not mean we are defeated. We lost this battle. The America of your dreams is calling for you to get back up. That's the story of America for over 240 years and counting. It's a story for all of us, not just some of us. The American experiment endures. Rack'em shack'em. We're going to be okay, but we need to stay engaged. Well, yeah, people were engaged. That's why your campaign lost. They were engaged with the debate between you and Donald Trump. They saw what they saw. They believed their own eyes, which is, primarily the goal that the party opposes. And they judged that you were fucking incoherent. You didn't know what the hell you were talking about. Trump pointed this out on 2 different occasions, and people gave a warm reception to that basic appraisal. Then you decided, well, it's going to be Kamala. And they didn't have a choice, the Democrats. And I don't think they were planning for this. I think that the plan was to run Biden. And his disastrous debate performance, because he is in such steep cognitive decline, sort of sealed the deal. I don't blame Biden for Kamala Harris's loss. A lot of the liberals are like, well, Kamala Harris, she tacked the senators, and the leftoids are saying that stuff, bullshit, basically. I don't think it was that. And I don't even think that it was the fact that they hid Joe Biden's senescence for so long, which they clearly did. I think it's more like there was no support from above, so to speak, for the Kamala Harris presidency. It just didn't exist. You had astroturfed, online so-called influencers. And you had the usual legacy media pundits, but you already had them. So, your coalition never grew. That was the whole problem. Yeah, Jill Biden right now, Kraken Joker, I think is very happy. I don't think she ever liked Kamala Harris. I think she's saying, well, my husband was capable of winning. You're a fucking loser. That's exactly what I suspect she's feeling right now. And Joe, he doesn't give a damn. He's now the former president of the United States, what will be on January 20th, my birthday, by the way. And he doesn't give any shits anymore. He's like, well, I did my part, but they wouldn't back me up. So, screw you, basically. Why is it that I have a feeling that in years to come, I'm going to have a begrudging little bit of respect for Joe Biden? Jesus. I bet you never thought that you'd hear that from me. Last Beacon, my personal belief is that Democrats will still have like a 1 or 2 seat majority. No, it looks like the Republicans are on track to have the House. It's just going to be by a very underwhelming margin. And knowing the way that the House Republicans work, will they piss it away through resignations, party flipping, general dysfunction? Probably. Yeah, they'll probably do that. Wig Destroyer is spamming over on Rumble. Cheeto Hitler smacked camel toe hairless in the coochie, beat that pussy like a drum, made her beg for more to slide that orange dick in her stinky old cunt. Yeah. I don't mind if you say such things because it is humorous, but you got to pay me if you want to do that. So yeah, Joe Biden calling for unity. It's like, you spent 4 years saying that everyone that disagreed with you was Hitler. You'll excuse me if I don't accept your apology. You'll excuse me if I don't give a fuck about unity at this particular time. I think Trump should spend his first 100 days going in real hard, without lube, by the way. Then we can negotiate. But first he needs to do that. Yeah, give me money. What the fuck? Everyone's got to make a living and shit. Brian Zwart. Good morning, Sticks. In politics in the 80s, we called the spectrum the purpley cube. Just some interesting boomer trivia. Never heard of it. The Happy Plague Doctor. I'm so pumped for the State's Fair. I'll be there for sure. Patriot games and all that shit. It's going to be great. Yeah, I want to go to each pavilion and sample, sort of the dish of the state. So for Vermont, that's going to be something with maple syrup. You already know that. I'll go there first. And but I will probably go to the Iowa, World's Fair. It's going to be an international fair. I mean, there's going to be people from all around the world. This is probably going to draw in hundreds of thousands of people a day. It's a good idea for tourism. Trump is giving a little reward to Iowa, by the way, for leading more and more red. You know that he's doing that. Friends, isn't Tulsi for Secretary of State? No neocons, please. Yes, I believe that Tulsi Gabbard, Rand Paul, General Flynn, Alex Jones, possibly. Many of these other people, Roger Stone, and Joe Rogan and more, should be at least in advisory capacity. I don't want another slurry of neocons. And I think that Trump has learned his lesson. And I think that he's going to give us something way better this time around. Miss Grimstock, it's so exciting to think that Trump will be president during our 250th birthday. Yeah. Copium Poppies. So, when do we start sending leftoids to camp? Do we have to wait till January 20th? Sadly, yes, you do. Caspergers, Wyoming. Congrats, everyone. America's tea levels went up this week. Thanks for all the content, Sticks. I was looking for you in New Orleans next time. Yeah, no, I went to Bourbon Street and all sorts of other crazy shit. I did get to eat turtle soup. It was very good, actually. Alex Bogey, did you catch Joy Reid calling white women racist? Yeah, but she thinks everyone is racist. She literally looks in the mirror, sees that she's black, and she can't think of anything else. Drexkin, morning Sticks. How possible would it be to put in some standards for federal elections that could be applied to all states? How Florida did this election should be implemented across every state. It would be very difficult because the states typically do their own election thing within certain confines. I do believe there should be a national holiday for Election Day. I agree with the liberals on that, actually. There should be voter ID in all states. And yes, I believe there should be only paper ballots. There should be no machines involved except for collating the actual ballots, packing them up, and getting them ready to go. Darth Corn Pop, what did the 2024 election and Willie Brown have in common? Kamala Harris blew both. Alex Bokey, do you think Kamala could make it as a makeup and skin cream YouTube influencer? She definitely looks attractive for a 61-year-old. It's the power of plastic surgery. Floyd Freed. Floyd does. 8 years after my kidney pancreas transplant, my wife is pregnant. At 40, I'll finally be a dad. Thanks for all the video sticks. Congratulations to you. That's what I'm talking about. SoulQuest 216. Why does Ron Paul say to beware of General Flynn? Where's their beef? I didn't know there was any beef. Flynn, are you sure you're not talking about Mike Pompeo? Yeah, you should definitely beware of him. Scott Steiner, I analyzed both tickets over the last month. Kamala swapped housing for abortion while Trump focused on housing. 33% of all rent prices are over $3,000 a month, and about 40% of Americans struggle with rent. Yes, to the point where they're actually taking out debt in order to buy groceries. DO7 sticks on Dan Bongino yesterday. Obama roasted Trump in New York back in 2011. Now Trump made them his bitch. Yeah, no, I didn't know that Flynn and Ron Paul would have a problem. I think you're thinking of Pompeo. There are a lot of us that have some reservations about Mike Pompeo. Federal Military Draft Agency reposts message suggesting U.S. is becoming 1936 Nazi Germany. Report. Yeah, supposedly Trump fans want that to happen. I've not seen any serious person suggest it, but that's their fantasy. Selective Service System reposted message on same day Donald Trump was declared election winner. Here was the post. The post shared by the Selective Service System on its X account Wednesday. You know this was a rogue staffer. Said, for all you stupid fucks out there that still believe military service will be voluntary, remember Germany 1936. A CBS News reporter also flagged the repost, writing on X, what's going on with the SSS_gov Selective Service X account? It seems like a rogue agent got a hold of it and was using it to mouth off. Here's my point, though. This is the more salient point. If you've got staffers and people working with human communications, X, Instagram, Facebook, wherever the fuck it happens to be, don't you want to vet them to make sure they're not going to have a mental breakdown on election night and then post weird shit? Apparently, this is beyond the government's capability at the moment. It doesn't surprise me, unfortunately. Sir Thomas Drake, they're not black vampires, they're Blackulas. Blackula, I believe that was a 70s Dracula movie, in 1977 or something like that. Wasn't there a movie called Blackula? I've never actually seen it, but I want to. It sounds fun. I guess Dracula was cast as a pimp suit wearing black man, or it was a blaxploitation film, if I remember correctly. Straight up metal detecting, $1. Thank you. The Grizzly, I'm really proud of Michigan right now. With 500,000 votes that were never removed and an extra forged 200,000 votes, Michigan still won against the machine. Yeah, Trump swept it. I get to take an extra victory lap because of this. Old Fart Gaming noticed another hilarious response to Trump victory. The cost of MREs went down from all the sources I generally buy from, including Amazon. Lol. Man, maybe I need to get in on that. I've still got that South African MRE, by the way, King of Biltong, Anton over there on Rumble. I haven't eaten it yet, but I've kind of got to clean out my area here before I actually have enough space to do so. Thinking about doing it in the bedroom. Actually, I've got a better table now. I don't know. I do love MREs. Dude, military food in some countries is actually really great. France, Italy, I've not had one of their MREs because they're prohibitively expensive, but I want to try one. Germany, the Netherlands is really good, actually. Dutch MREs are great. Australia, though, I think still has the record for best MRE. I think it's called a CRT or CRM, and their rations, I mean, it's explosive in the amount of calories that you're getting, but you get all sorts of weird shit, Vegemite and musk-flavored lifesavers and cool shit like that. Basically, imagine a crazier version of a British MRE, partially packaged in New Zealand, for anything containing lamb, of course. Alex Bogey, do you think Ben Shapiro is an Israeli spy? No, I just think that he's sometimes a little bit delusional. None of your business. My kitten is named Blackula. He is a goblin. Now look up H.P. Lovecraft's cat and what that cat's name was. I am not allowed to say it on a live stream that's live on YouTube. Infamous Aeon, Trump winning Michigan and Arizona shocked me, not gonna lie. Oh, all sorts of great things happened on election night. They're still rolling too. Did you see what was it? Mike Davis, I think, came out and he said that he threatened Letitia James. And he's like, well, I mean, if you continue the lawfare, we're going to put your fat ass in prison. That was funny. Then he said he wanted to drag Democrats' political corpses through the streets. I happen to agree with this, by the way. Mike the Wop, I was worried about the illegal votes that would happen during the election, but I'm glad you were right, Sticks, and I was wrong. Clank, motherfuckers. Yeah, their ability to fortify elections is countermanded by mass action. The fact is that Kamala Harris simply got far fewer votes. They looked at the early results, the exit polls and stuff, and I think that they said, we're not going to be able to do this because we're going to need 5-6 million votes. That's a lot more than a couple 100,000. The problem is that if it was investigated to any reasonable degree, eventually you'd get fucked in the ass. Yeah, Mike Davis literally said that he wanted to drag the Democrats' political corpses through the streets. I strongly support this. Let's get to our sponsors before we get to all of the non-political work here. I've been overloaded by politics. I know that I do this for a living. I do poll analysis, predictions, current events, and political news generally speaking. But by God, can't I talk about something non-political? I mean, the lithium thing is kind of sort of political. Other than that, though, I just want to cut loose for a little while. Jesus, give me a fucking break. Give me a couple of days off. That's all I'm asking. We've got our sponsors. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills, various kinds. They appear to be neuroregenerative. I've spoken of this before. They appear to literally heal your brain. Disclaimer, I'm not a medical expert or anything like that, and I am partnered with them. But it seems to work for me. Definitely gives me a boost of energy. We've got pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get keychains, belt chains, engraved spoons, glassware, bookmarks, important for the bibliophile in your life, and much, much more. Ouroboros logo, Clank, all of the memes from the channel. BiltongUSA.com. We've got, by the way, Anton over there on Rumble. I think use code STICKS for 10% off. You'll have to remind me about the specific code. I think there was another one for 15, but I can't remember it. And you can get Biltong from him. I think I have a shipment actually coming today, if I remember correctly. Red Letter Day. I'm going to be pounding that meat down. Trust me. Also, Sticks, X, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts. Wicked Needle Embroidery.bigcartel.com, where you can get Sticks, X, and Hammer hats. We've got the Ouroboros logo. That's the one that's larger and offset. And then the main hat is the one with the smaller logo with the wings, and it says Sticks, X, and Hammer below it. There was also one that was in camo, but I think that was a mistake and it sold out. Honestly, I think it looked pretty cool. Maybe they should make another batch of them. HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com. You can get a seed survival bucket for them, and you can grow big-ass squash like this. Perfect for your Thanksgiving feast. Of course, you'll have to wait till next year. How sad. I'm going to be eating these. Trust me. Oh, they'll stay good for months. No problem. Also, we get Sticks, X, and Hammer soaps. There are two different varieties available. One is blue. It's cedar, clove, and blueberry. The other one is a pink bar, and it's lavender and marjoram. I like marjoram a lot. Webster'sWares.com/sticks-wares, where you can get all sorts of Sticks material. We've got blades, we've got beanies, an homage to Tim Pool. We've got metal straws as well, which is great. The more turtles you save, the more turtles you can eat as well. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is jamnbean.com, where you can get Sticks, Hex, and Hammer coffee, the official Clank blend. I'm actually thinking about contacting them and trying to get like a proprietary tea blend as well. I would recommend the Healer and the Buccaneer tea. Delicious. Superb, actually. 10 out of 10. Best teas that I've ever had, actually. We get all sorts of crazy stuff. That's our merch. Cat Cans, you told us from day one that Trump was going to win. Even when things seemed dismal, you reminded us this is a black pill-free zone, and you assured us he would win. You were always right. True. Thank you. Swamp Donkey. Not going to lie, I'm disappointed that RFK isn't going to be the health guy. I hope they don't bring Pompeo anywhere near the admin. What do you think about RFK being snubbed? I don't think it was a snub. I think it was a non-serious suggestion to begin with, although be a funny one. But he will probably remain close to the administration. Might be in an advisory role, might be something else. We're not sure yet. He hasn't fleshed out his entire cabinet. Cultivated minds. Something amazing is happening in the soil science world. One of my associates has designed a universal measurement system to analyze soil health using new microscopy methods. Groundbreaking stuff. Send that to me in a Twitter DM if you can. I'd be interested in that. Studied soil science, actually. Hey, Sam, we did it. Grats, clankers. Thanks for your work, Tarl. I was able to drag someone to the polls who had never voted before. Yes, and I think enough people did that because of the advice of many, many thousands of people online, not just myself, but like Scott Pressler, fucking Rogan and others. I think that overwhelmed the polls. When they saw the exit polls, they said, okay, we're not going to be able to rig it this time. Real Sebastian Monroe. The Unit Party thinks it's 1936 when it's actually about to be 1945 Nuremberg for them. I revel in their self-inflicted misery and will hold no quarter to them after they depersoned people. Hashtag no amnesty. Agreed. It's time to get tough for at least a few months. And then, once you've purged the dross, then you can, once they're on their knees, then you can negotiate with them. Not a bad account. Will Mike Pompeo return to drain the swamp? I don't think that Trump is seriously considering him for a role at this time. Josh Palillo, Biden could not care less that Kamala lost. Lol. Yeah. Oh shit, I'm sorry. Sticks, I am Donald Trump. I wasn't always, but I am now. Maybe if you tried hard enough, we could be Donald Trump together. Alexander Bakos. If the Democrats hypothetically win the House, how much would it hurt Donald Trump? Also, day 3 of the Greek media melting down. DM me on Twitter if the Greek media. I haven't seen anything about that. I know that Germany's government coalition just collapsed. Before I get to more super chats, though, I wanted to talk about this one. Nevada lithium mine will crush rare plant habitat, U.S. said is critical to its survival, lawsuit says. Conservationists and a Native American tribe are suing the U.S. to try to block a Nevada lithium mine they say will drive an endangered desert wildflower to extinction, disrupt groundwater flows, and threaten cultural resources. Fuck those cultural resources. I will get into that in a moment. The Center for Biological Diversity promised the court battle a week ago when the U.S. Interior Department approved Lonier Limited's Rhyolite Ridge lithium boron mine at the only place Tiehms buckwheat is known to exist in the world, near the California line halfway between Reno and Las Vegas. Now, this is not a medicinal plant. It's not a culinary plant. It's basically fucking useless for human purposes. I would point out, and I wanted to earlier, and I thought of this as a good thing to say, we are the only species in the world that actually gives a damn whether other species persist. What do we always base that on? Our own self-preservation. Well, we can't let this go extinct because, it's a cure for cancer. We can't let that go extinct because it's tasty and we like to eat it. In this case, though, you're just bitching over a plant that's probably on its way out anyway. I say this as someone who loves botany, and I certainly love biodiversity. I believe in real environmentalism, clean up the goddamn world, get rid of the toxic waste, the plastic, everything else, transfer all of society into a nice, clean, happy planet where we can all get along as species. I agree with these things. But you're saying that a mine that could bring thousands or tens of thousands of jobs, extremely lower the overhead of green energy, which these same people are proponents of, because the lithium would be domestic instead of imported from China or North Korea or something. You're saying that that's bad because a species might go extinct, but it's almost extinct anyway. It's only found in one location. I've got a better solution. Do what the Scandies would do. Take the seeds from the plant, find similar climactic regions, ta-da, and grow it there. Well, it's no longer endangered. Now it's endemic to 15 other places in the world. So the lithium mine no longer matters now, does it? As far as your cultural remains, it reminds me of the state of Vermont and northern New England in general. There are a series of stone cairns in these states. I've been inside of 2 of them, actually. And they are of uncertain origin. The reason why they're of uncertain origin, they're shorter and probably about as long as this room. So maybe 10, 12 feet, something like that. Made out of slab construction, made out of stone. They align with astronomical phenomenon, especially the solstice, summer solstice, winter solstice, things like that. And they're not sure exactly who built them. Some people say they were built by colonials. I highly doubt that because there would be no reason to astronomically align them. Some say by so-called Native Americans. That would be odd since they didn't really work with slabs of stone. Some say by the ancient Vikings that did provably come to North America. That's possible. They could have penetrated that far down into New England. You've got the Maine penny and stuff like that. I think that my own money is on Irish explorers that came even before that. I think that they did manage to make it to the New World. They built a series of cairns as they were moving along. They lasted for a few decades, and then generally they got absorbed into the so-called native tribes, or they died out. But we're not allowed to explore them, even if they're on private property, by the way, because the Native American tribes, especially the Abenaki, of which I'm supposedly partially from, will not let them. And the state of Vermont will not permit them, therefore, to dig trenches out, try to find, human remains. And the reason why is quite clear. Let's say they find a human remain next to the cairn and they confirm that it's of Irish origin. Well, goddamn, that's really, that's going to be really, really problematic for the landholders of the other cairns, number one, and number two, for the general consensus of the settlement of the New World. And that's why they're not doing that. So I would say fucking take the lithium, and as an environmental reach around, take seeds from the plants, promulgate them elsewhere. Get some plant scientists in there, get some botanists in there. They know how to fucking grow things. I could do it. Give me a couple of those pods. Okay, it's critically endangered, so it's probably felony to even own one of the fucking pods. Waive that and let people like myself that know how to grow things really well and have a green thumb, let us promulgate them. Send the seedlings back to a similar climatic area. And, you want to establish biodiversity. You don't want it to be highly inbred or anything like that. And they'll thrive. Probably it's just the area surrounding this one climactic zone is inhospitable, so they can't really spread out of it. Well, you can introduce them to new zones. Ironically, you're then creating an invasive species, but I don't know. You're so upset over this fucking buckwheat, even though that nobody's doing anything with it. So if you're that concerned, spread it yourself. Let's see. Cultivated Mind. Everyone is invited to watch at http://soil.com. We will change our soil and food systems from the ground up. This has the backing of biologists and soil experts around the world. I'm going to open that link and pop it over here, actually, if I can. Okay. I'll take a look at that later. Thank you. JDC, hi Sticks. Will they try to fight the certification in court to delay? No. Ma-felon, ma-court cases, ma-cheating, pot and kettle syndrome. No, they'd be completely unsuccessful. Pumpkin Fire Crafts. Good morning, Clankers and Sticks. Buy one, get one 50% off through midnight EST Sunday using code TRUMP24. See site for conditions. Nice. Oh, that large bull guy is back to vent. I know, you must be so sad about the election and the fact that you can't sodomize Kamala Harris. Anyway. Tunic found in one of the royal tombs at Virginia, I'm assuming vagina, identified as Alexander the Great's. Prior research has suggested that several members of Alexander the Great's family were laid to rest in the royal tombs at Virginia. The gravesite of the famous Macedonian king is not known, though it is most certainly not the royal tombs at Virginia. Such findings have made the site in Greece famous. In this new effort, Bartsiokas and colleagues took a new look at one of the three tombs at the site, which had been informally named Tomb 1, 2, and 3, which makes sense. Using a variety of testing techniques and historical reference works, the researchers found what they describe as evidence that the remains in Tomb 1 belong to Philip II, Alexander's father. Those in Tomb 2 belong to Alexander's half-brother Philip III, and the remains in Tomb 2, I think they mean Tomb 3, are those of Alexander IV, Alexander's son, who died while still in his teens. Perhaps most intriguing about the work, however, is the purple and white tunic found among the remains in Tomb 2. A tunic is a fitted jacket similar to that worn by Captain Picard of Star Trek The Next Generation. They have to give a colloquial reference so that people understand what they're fucking talking about. By testing via gas chromatography and Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy, the researchers determined that the tunic was made of cotton and had been dyed using a purple color that was only allowed for the elite. Yes, it's called royal purple or imperial purple. And it was made partially with snails and piss. And so it smelled particularly bad, actually, to people. And the smell that went along with your purple robe proved its pedigree, and therefore the fact that everyone around you was holding their nose was evidence that you were wealthy and well-connected. They note also that the tunic was featured in a frieze in Tomb 2. Yes, there's an actual picture of the fucking tunic by a hunter, identified as Alexander. Also, the tunic was found near a scepter, oak wreath, and diadem, all made of gold, which are believed to have been a possible link with ancient Persia and, by extension, to Alexander. The research team was not able to explain why the tunic and other gold materials associated with Alexander the Great were left in the tomb, though they suspect it might have had something to do with Philip III being crowned king when Alexander died. So basically a hand-me-down. Makes sense. So they probably found Alexander the Great's tunic. Yeah, he actually wore that shit, and it probably smelled horrifically. This was popular up through the Roman times, too. Royal purple was literally available only to people that were at the top echelons of society. If you weren't well-connected and or politically powerful and or extremely decorated, so like, you know, you're the centurion that literally killed 100 barbarians and got, you know, his own weight in gold or something. You weren't allowed to wear royal purple. I think it would have literally been against their laws at the time. Pumpkin Fire Crafts. My roommate wrote a book for her son called Willie's Big Move. It's available on lulu.com in hardcover and paperback and is linked on my website. I will be adding an info page as I update the site more. Sounds cool. So yeah, they've got literally Alexander the Great's tunic that he was apparently literally hunting in, and they've got an actual mosaic picture of this. That's pretty cool. Beachaz. For some non-political news, did you hear about the 43 monkeys that escaped from a South Carolina facility? Yeah, I wonder what terrible disease they were being tested with. Infamous Aeon. So are those blue states in that popular vote pact giving their electoral votes to Trump, or is it just liberal bluster? They have never finalized the pact because there aren't enough states to do so. Lisa Rush, thanks for election live stream, although I had to jump to Benny Johnson earlier than I thought. By the way, Google still shows Trump at 295. Yeah, it depends on the site. Some of them have called Nevada and Arizona, some haven't. Purple Potato, Nick Fuentes dominated libwomen. Hashtag your body, my choice. That's a bunch of bullshit. I don't know. He basically spent the whole time bad-mouthing Trump, then pretended that Trump's victory was his victory, and now has hauled off. I don't know, dude. I support his right to speak, and there are some times when he says stuff that makes total sense. I don't want to censor Nick Fuentes at all, but I have my misgivings about some of the stuff that he says, yeah. It's not necessarily the most pragmatic, but I don't think that's the point. Warsha Q, do you think the Democrats will do some self-reflection? Ha ha ha! It's a good joke, comrade. You go to Gulag last and course correct for midterms in a 2028 presidential run. No, I don't think that they're capable of self-reflection at this point. Ozzy's Robots. Hey, Sticks. Flankers have been swamped in projects, but managed to support 2 congressmen who won North Carolina and Florida. Let's hope no shenanigans between now and January 20th. No shenanigans zone. Christian McCracken. I hope Trump goes after every agent, prosecutor, and judge involved in lawfare, J6, etc. They only want unity now because they lost, and they'll do it again, but worse. Exactly. So fuck them. No unity necessary in the first 100 days. Just run roughshod over them. Privateer B, Sticks, when are you getting your Discord? We will need to deck tech your clanking tribal Magic the Gathering deck on Jeremy's server. Yeah, I've got the custom Magic card, but I think it's in the other room actually at the moment. BW, Sticks, do you think we will lose the 26 midterms if Trump deports a bunch of people and then Trump will get impeached? Genuine question, no doom. He is almost certain to get impeached a record 3rd time. We'll put it that way. I do think that the Republicans will lose the House in 26. That would be historically the case. They might grow their Senate majority, though. Not a bad account. Will Trump back off again, like forgiving Hillary? I don't know about this time. Trump is the best in America at beating women. I don't want to tell O.J. Simpson that. Oh, wait, he's dead. Steve D. Martin. Hey, Sticks, are you familiar with the Kensington runestone found in Minnesota? Yes, and I believe that it is real. And I believe that that is mainly covered up for the purposes of not bothering certain ethnic groups. Liz's large bull. I am so we told it. Sofa King, we taught it. Hey, Sticks, you grope any chicks lately? Bill Tong sucks ass. Sticks is late. Batters women and wants to grope Hannah Claire. What happened to the drug dealer? Average intelligence of a Sticks of a shill on my channel. King of Biltong. Add Biltong to your diet as a high-protein snack alternative packed with B12, zinc, iron, creatine, and more. Get yourself some at BiltongUSA.com. Code T47 for 15% off. Last day to celebrate today. Yeah, I believe there's a shipment of Biltong actually coming in a little bit. I'm happy about this. We stream Friday and Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, live only on Rumble. Shit talking while cooking real food. Click my avatar, go to rumble.com/user/king _ Biltong and hit follow. Nick C. Oh, wait, it jumped. Bailey Robb, I gave up 2 of my vices recently. Drugs. I was ruining my own life. Promoting self-sufficiency is the only path towards a free and prosperous society. And exactly what the people that hate us don't want us to do. Nick C. Hey, Tarl, did you see the Freudian slip by Brian Krasenstein directly stating Letitia James persecuted Trump? Oopsie poopsie, the backtracking. Oh, yeah. I unfortunately see everything that Brian and Ed post on Twitter because they're infinitely promoted because of their bullshit. Yeah, the cope is real. I mean, 48 hours of nonstop cope, but they haven't even fucking slept, I think. Mike the Wop, Sticks plushies will be available soon and filled with candy corn. Heretic. Chewy Fernandez, Trump gave his resignation letter to McDonald's. I'm going to skip the Prion story, I think, here. Because I really want to talk about this vampire story. Fuck the Prion. I'll cover that tomorrow. I'll do that as a New Tech exclusive or something. Mysterious 400-year-old vampire woman comes back to life with facial reconstruction. Not the kind of facial that Kamala Harris likes, by the way. With a sickle across her neck and a padlock on her left big toe, the corpse of a young woman found in northern Poland would have been unable to rise from her unmarked grave, according to local 17th century folklore. But her identity and how she ended up in such a state are secrets researchers say they are just beginning to unlock. We'll be talking about the New England vampire scare, the interesting folklore. That's why I wanted a little more time to talk about this. Archaeologists first made the grim discovery in 2022 and have been studying the remains to understand who the woman was and why she and perhaps others buried in the same field around 400 years ago were feared as vampires or demons. By the way, they did the reconstruction and they didn't blackwash her, so we've actually got the tale of someone who is actually European. Now, using the contours of her skull as well as information in a DNA sample extracted from her skeleton, researchers have recreated what her face may have looked like. The striking 3D reconstruction of Zosia, as locals nicknamed her, sheds light on the human found in the grisly grave. Archaeologist Daruz Polinsky, who led the team that unearthed Zosia's remains, said it was a mind-blowing moment when he first saw the reconstruction by Swedish forensic artist Oscar Nielsen for the first time. And they talk about the reconstruction. It does look highly realistic. And yeah, it looks probable, That's about the reconstruction. Between 18 and 20 years old when she died, Zosia likely had a health condition that may have made her prone to experiencing severe chronic headaches and fainting spells, according to an analysis of the spine. In addition, the sternum may have been deformed, possibly leading to the growth of a visible chest tumor that could have caused pain. However, the disorder was not the cause of death, which remains unknown, and detailed medical analyses are ongoing. Could have been a heart defect, could have been she got killed, you're never sure. Fragile silk fabric and metallic threads made of silver and gold, thought to be a trimming for a fine headdress or bonnet, found in her grave suggested she came from a wealthy or high-status background. This was during the Little Ice Age. They point that out. I wanted to give a little bit of an overlap here, though, because this is 400 years ago. So we think of that and we say, well, that's ancient history, and people back then didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. Actually, much less than 400 years ago, there was a vampire scare in New England. There is indeed, and this is true, it is confirmed, there's a dead body laying under the giant slab right underneath the ground in the middle of the green in Woodstock, where I grew up, for example. Individual that they thought was a vampire, because there was a tuberculosis epidemic at the time. And they didn't really understand decomposition because it was kind of verboten to, examine corpses to any great detail. Desecrating the dead was frowned upon. So they didn't really have necessarily the greatest knowledge of decomposition. And what happens in New England is if you die in winter, they would literally put you in the fucking root cellar because they couldn't chop through the ground in order to bury you. And so they would literally, grandma's just sleeping down there, kids. Grandma's dead in the root cellar being refrigerated and covered with a tarpaulin. And this is actually something that happened. My mom has told me about this from tales from her grandparents, which is contemporary to that time period almost. And they would literally just put them in the fucking root cellar and stuff like that. And so, you tell the kids, go down and give me some potatoes. Don't disturb grandma. She's sleeping. That's basically what they would tell them. It might sound morbid by our modern contrivances, but, at the time, do you really want to go out there in 20-degree below weather to pickaxe through 6 feet of soil? Probably not. So they chose to refrigerate their dead loved ones. But contemporary to that time, there was a huge outbreak of tuberculosis in many parts of the world. And because they didn't understand decomposition, what they would say is like, this person has died of this wasting disease. They're wasting away, literally, and they die. And then somebody else in the household gets sick not long after they've gotten sick. Now, of course, we understand contagion today, but they didn't really understand contagion. They were still using the theory of the four humors and early stage pre-organic medicine, by the way. It wasn't even standardized at the time. They were giving people arsenic and shit like that, nux vomica, and lead infusions in order to cure disease, which killed more people than it cured. I've studied this intensely. It's absolutely fucking fascinating. Heralds the rise of other waves of technology as well within human communications. Made a video about that a few days ago. So one person gets sick, they waste away, they die. Then another person gets sick. They would say, well, shit, these things are related, but they didn't understand how they were related. They didn't understand the contagion and its capability of festering in the body for months and months before it shows any symptoms. And so they would unearth the body. And of course, now the thaw has come. They unearth the body. It's beginning to rot because it was frozen solid before. And they would notice like fresh blood trickling down the face and things like that. And so they thought they were vampires. So this is just an older version of the same things that people were doing well into the 19th century, actually, within New England. They would bury them at a crossroads because the idea is, the cross will keep them down because it's Jesus. They would bury them under slabs of stone. There's a grave actually in the Woodstock Cemetery, and I thought it was hilarious. There's a grave there, and man, I should probably go to the cemetery. I'll try to get pictures of it or something or footage. And it's got like a casement around it, literally a cage around the grave. This is somebody who died during that period of time. They thought this was a vampire. They thought that they would come back from the dead and they would do terrible things to, especially for some reason, their relatives. There's another interesting aside. As late as the 20s or 1830s? I can't remember. I think it was 1832. Sinistrari, a Catholic at the time, he wrote a work. And he was talking about, the undead and possession and things like that. He meanders off into all sorts of rather bizarre subtopics at times. And he decided, and this was semi-canonical among some at the time, that the reason why there were deformed children and, kids that would die in the womb and stuff was because demons would possess, or evil spirits possess, the bodies of the recently dead. And the physical corpse, the actual corpse, would go and copulate with young females and cause problems. And the young female corpses would also go and cause nocturnal emissions, in other words, ejaculation in the sleep among men, and that this would cause possession and things like that. Very, very interesting topic. By the way, please send no more super chats because I got to Get through this. Sigil, there's a Clanker Discord. It was started by Short Stack, and if you're going to have here on stream to bullshit, then it's probably close to an official Discord. Here's the link. Yes, indeed. There is a Clank Discord. I'm on that Discord. Pictures of any shits I take are available on request. So yeah, yet another vampire tale. Fascinating folklore. I wish there was a more comprehensive work on sort of the folklore behind tales of vampires and things like that. I wish that there was a more comprehensive one. Normally it focuses, like, there's plenty of books on the New England vampire scare, but they don't really cross over and like compare the folklore to what happened in Europe, or it's on Europe and then not in reverse. Like Osborne Eves had a work that was more on psychic vampirism. That's from the early 20th century, if I remember correctly. I edited that one. It was a good work. But, you know, it only talks about certain aspects of vampirism. Arguably, the origin of vampirism is not even like Romania or something like that. It's actually Russia more than anything else. There were tales long before that, before Bram Stoker became a thing, or the concept of New England vampires, about sort of ghoulish characters. It might have tied into tuberculosis because they're usually depicted as emaciated, sort of wandering through the foggy streets at night, waiting to suck the life out of people. Arguably closer to what we would consider the colloquial view of a vampire than much of what Vlad the Impaler himself did in Romania back in his day. Of course, the idea that he routinely drank blood is probably the result of German chroniclers that propagandized against him because they thought he was abysmal. I have a feeling that there's some kernel of truth there. I have a feeling Vlad got tired of the German chroniclers saying how evil he was. And so they came over with their dignitaries, as people did back then, to, you know, see some royal or noble or something like that and to talk politics and shit like that. And he probably did gather up the blood in a bowl and drink it in front of them just to scare the shit out of them. He's like, they're not going to give me any leeway anyway. I might as well give them a show. I have a feeling he was trolling them. Vlad the Impaler might be one of the most successful trolls in history as the result of this. Isn't that ironic? He also, at one point, now I'm just rambling at this point. I like vampires. It's a fun subject. At one point, when he first took his reign, his father had been reigning over things, and then there was a series of puppets, basically, before Vlad decided to kick the Sultan out of his kingdom, Sultan Mehmet, and he brought all the nobility, right, to a big feast and stuff, as is, you know, generally the case with a new administration. And he had asked them how many leaders they had seen over, you know, the last couple of decades since his dad, you know, was forced out. I think it was about 15 years or something like that. And they were mentioning that they had seen quite a few leaders. Now, what he wanted to hear was, we haven't seen a leader up until you took hold. And I believe there were canonically a couple of people that said something like that and were spared. Basically, the idea was, hey, my father led the country. He did what he needed to do. All these other people are pieces of shit. Now I'm leading you. I'm your only leader. Don't mention anyone else unless it's my dad. But they didn't. They said, well, we've had like 5 or 6 leaders in the last decade. So what did he do? He marched them up to his castle and he worked them to death. He stripped them of all their lands and titles and basically tortured them to death. And then what he did was he took the lower nobility, people that were well off, but they weren't at that higher status, and he replaced them. And he figured, well, you know, now these people owe their existences to me. I bet they'll treat me a little bit better. Very, very strange dude at times. A lot of non-canonical stories. Like, I do not believe when he was captive in Hungary, I don't believe the German chroniclers reports that he was actually impaling rats and crickets and stuff and using them as trophies on his windowsill. I do not believe that. I think that that's hyperbolic. I think it's basically like they just didn't fucking like him. Sort of like they treat Trump the same way, ironically. Linux Debian 104. What's your thoughts on nonsensical restrictions on AI art? For example, try asking Grok for an image including the Confederate flag. There are ways to get around it, of course, but I believe that I oppose them. Bystander Syndrome says test. Test. I don't know what you're testing. Yes, you are capable of super chatting. Let's see, BW. But if they impeach Trump, they will get President Vance, so they better not unless they get both houses. FUtube 10.2, I believe we just witnessed the collapse of the modern liberal movement because of identity politics. I hope the Democrats reform these next 2 to 4 years. They won't. They're not going to learn their lesson. They've been stubbornly resistant to it. It'll take at least one more disastrous election to really convince them and drive the point home. By the way, again, please send no more super chats. OMG puppies. My grandmother, born in the 19th century, told me she and the other girls took a drop of arsenic to make acne disappear. It's a powerful antibiotic, but yikes. Oh, they did far worse than that even further back. They were literally injecting lead infusions in wine, actually, for wounds. I edited a work by Isaac Hollandus, actually. Lead is medicine, if I remember correctly. Sometimes you got to be careful with alchemical works, especially the latter day ones that fuse with medicine, because sometimes lead and antimony are used interchangeably. Of course, they're not the same element. BW, do you still consider vampires to be a cult, or is it more like Christmas to Christianity now, related but too commercialized? Oh, it's an occult topic, so long as it coincides with all sorts of centuries of folklore and things like that, and the energetic sort of new wave interpretation, psychic vampirism. Look up Mysticina. He used to have a bunch of videos on the topic, but I think he took them down. Robo Guy. Mark Ilias is trying to cheat and subvert McCormick's Senate victory. He is denying the election results and thus a fascist, according to what the left defines. He'll fail in the end. It's already been certified, I think. Joseph McGee. Sticks. Love you, man. My I voted was an Oktoberfest Sam Adams. Trump gaining the popular vote, I believe, is the election 2020 middle finger. Hell yeah. So yeah, now that we've talked about vampires for 20 minutes, I should probably do like a full, like an hour video. I want to do like a cult lecture series. Normally I keep it short, but I want to come with like the receipts, so to speak, like with scholarly works, snippets from things I've edited, things found online, and sort of give like an occult lecture series or something. I've got the Gray School there. I've still got to do the Beast of Gévaudan redux for them. But I'd like to do more of a continuing thing. Vampirism is an interesting concept. High church versus low church, things like that. The evolution of Christianity. Anything spiritual, anything folkloric, anything that has to do with out of the ordinary shit, the paranormal, cryptids, all of that I'm into. So yeah, I think I'm going to go offline now. Of course, it's Friday, so I will not be live tomorrow. How sad. On Monday, I will be back. If there's any particularly huge news, of course, I can go live at any time, just saying. And yeah, I'll go and dig up some more news articles for tomorrow. I still have a couple of them, actually, I think already docketed, if I remember correctly. Yes, I got 5 of them, actually. Okay, so tomorrow is already taken care of. I'll probably cycle a couple of them off to the side in order to cover current events, which are no longer current a day later. I'll do the best that I bloody can. I've got a lot to do today. I'm going to be making garden veggie soup, I believe, later. That's what I'm talking about. Trust me, I put a red pepper in it. I don't understand the aversion of some people to putting peppers in their soup. And I still got a couple of florets of broccoli out in the garden that are still edible. So I'm going to be popping them in like they were sprouts and shit. That's about all.